welcome to episode 6 of the Winging It FM podcast. We are joined today by guest BobbyGGaming. Unfortunately, CookieFM and SammyDodaFM couldn't be with us today due to audio and family reasons. The topic today is scouting and recruitment. Let's get into our save updates first.
Awesome. Yeah, so I've got a couple of saves going on at the moment. The main one on my YouTube channel is the San Marino challenge. I started with a journeyman, saved over the file when I was half drunk. So I was like, I need to do something new. And hence we're going with the San Marino challenge now. But it's going really good. We're about 8 seasons down. I think I'm season 8, episode 4. We look like we're actually on to win the league for the first time. So season 1 was an absolute fail. I went and got sacked 3 episodes into the save, and I was like, it's not really much of a 30-year challenge if you get sacked on the 3rd episode of what you're doing. So I actually changed it around and we created BobbyG version 2, and since then we've just kind of worked our way through the leagues. We won the Champions League in season 6, but we've never actually won Serie A. So season 8, it's actually looking like it's going to be possible to win it. Last time around, I just beat Chelsea 2-1 in the quarter-final first leg of the Champions League. And things are looking pretty good, and we've just started the World Cup qualifying campaign as San Marino. Now, that's a whole different kettle of fish when you get into talking about actually trying to do it with the national team, because I think I've played 50 games and won 3, so I'm kind of getting my ass kicked wherever I go.
Yeah, just to note on Bobby G's thing, yeah, it's been fantastic. I've really enjoyed watching it. Obviously, I kind of fell out with you a wee bit when you put Spurs out of the Champions League, but no, the save's been fantastic, mate. Yeah, you have been struggling, I've noticed, internationally, but which is expected. But yeah, it's a great save. Anyone that wants to watch that sort of thing, Bobby G's your man. It's been fantastic. I've really enjoyed it, buddy.
Cheers, man. Thank you very much.
Yeah, right. As for my save, we are... Yeah, so I got a 4-0 win over St Mirren in my latest episodes. I've went with the 4-4-2, which I think Bobby G's a fan of, or was a fan of recently as well.
I am.
The 4-4-2 has just been doing magic for us. It's been absolutely fantastic. I'm actually really... We've got a cup game, Scottish Cup game going in against Rangers. It's going to be hard. We've never actually defeated Rangers so far in the save, but I'm feeling confident with the 4-4-2. I really am. It's going to be it'll be a decent game, I think. Certainly looking forward to playing Rangers and hopefully getting our first win over them. I just realised I've made a mistake there. St Mirren was my last episode, which I beat them 3-2. No, it was St Johnstone that I played in the latest one, and I beat them 4-0. The 4-4-2, as I say, has been absolutely magic.
I agree with you on the 4-4-2, mate. One of the most underutilised tactics on Football Manager. I always find it's really good when your team's not quite as good as the opposition. It kind of gives you a bit of stability in defence, but you can get some decent balls into a target man with a poacher or advance forward on the end. It works wonders. Mike Bassett had it nailed down.
That's what... I saw so many people using it. It was actually Samo, who's another sort of Scottish FM guy, does blogs, and I was reading his blog about 4-4-2, and that's kind of what made me decide to change, just to give it a try. I don't use a lot of team instructions, but certainly it's been working out so far, and I've seen the likes of yourself, Bobby, that have been using it, and I'm thinking, yeah, this is a tactic for me, and so far it's been fantastic. Well, I'm going to plug some of my own content. When scouting first came about, I think it was either in the beta or like really early into the FM18 game, I actually made a video on scouting, or a video /review/rant. I think it's got nearly like 700 views on YouTube. And I had to watch it today, knowing that we were going to do this, so it's absolute cringe watching your old videos. But yeah, it really was cringe, but to be honest, I like it. It's complex, but there are a few points that I made in the video that I still kind of agree with. First of all, it's still a wee bit slow to an extent, especially during transfer windows. If you need recommendations ASAP, it's like, I always find it hard to get, like, unless you're obviously scouting a player that you know and you want, it's still kind of hard to get a lot of recommendations really fast, or like right before the transfer window closes, sort of thing. Other than that, there is a lot of repetition in reports from players that you might discard and not think about. They sometimes, often still come up, and it's really annoying. It's like, I already said I'm not interested in this player. But other than that, I mean, there are obviously negative things, but other than that, I don't really have an issue with the scouting. It depends on your scouts as well, but I'm actually liking it. It needs work. I certainly feel it needs work, but yeah, I mean, it is what it is. They're never going to get something that's like 100% perfect, in my opinion, but yeah, I do enjoy it. I do like it. I have got used to it, but again, from my rant video, I think there are certain things that they still need to work on, really.
I'm going to say I quite like it. I didn't enjoy scouting in previous Football Managers, and I do feel like they've gone from A to B quite well with this, and they've given you kind of a mix where there's enough detail, there's enough options to use without getting inundated. If you can remember the old days where you used to get 700 emails come through with every single scouting report that was created since Jesus was a lad. It was just terrible. It was awful. And it put me off scouting to the point to where I'll go and use a Genie Scout because I'm like, I can't be dealing with 700 emails. And then when I started my YouTube channel just over a year ago, I was like, I can't really use the Genie Scout anymore. And I think actually, Rampant, it was yourself on one of the live streams that actually gave me almost a tutorial, you might not even remember, of how to actually go through and do the scouting on Football Manager. And I like it. The things that you learn as you go along, one, is crap scouts absolutely kill you year on year. So my tip is get some decent scouts in. I never bothered with staff. I'd just leave the staff there for the first season and just concentrate on bringing in a few players. Actually, the best thing to do is bring in some decent scouts because I'd spend money on players that are going, oh wow, he's a 4-star centre midfielder. He'll come into the team and he'll be a 2.5-star centre midfielder, and I'd be throwing my toys out the pram.
I know the pain, mate. I know the pain too well. And I do actually remember that, Bobby. I think half my rant review thing that I was talking about earlier, I think that was to do with the fact that I maybe not knew how to really set up well, and you're completely bang on with the fact that you really need good scouts as well.
What do you guys do with the scouting packages that are available as well? And I'll give you my instance on it. So there's two saves. One, the Burnley save, where I've got a worldwide tier package, and they're bringing in players from all over the world, which is great. And then the San Marino challenge, where I didn't have any money, I had to really limit it to the absolute minimum of what was available. I think I could afford maybe Italy at a push, but it was Italy lower leagues because of Serie D. And that makes a big difference. And there's obviously a point in your save where you need to transition. Like,
I've not really had to do much in terms of going worldwide or that. Obviously, you know yourself, Bobby, my sort of saves, I've really stuck to like mainland Europe. I've not really had to sort of go like away, sort of like go like to Mexico or Brazil or anything like that. And I don't think I've got too many databases running on my account beef save. So again, it's just Europe. And plus, I've really, in terms of scouting and stuff, I've kind of just built up my youth or junior coaching range and stuff like that, rather than actually going out and scouting players at other clubs as such, you know.
Okay. Do you guys have rules as well? So the players that you can sign must come through the scouting system, or are you free for all? So if someone comments on your YouTube channel, hey, I'm going to go and search, Steve Whitehall up front for Rochdale in the 90s. Let's go and search Steve Whitehall and see if I'm going to bring him in. Or do you go, oh yeah, the scouts have recommended this guy, or they've scouted this guy, that's the only way I can sign him?
I mean, my account in beef save was predominantly to see the Scottish wonder kids, in like quotations, obviously, to see how they would progress. But certainly in terms of strengthening the team, I've not really put a lot of rules on it to an extent. Like, I obviously signed like an OAP Wayne Rooney and an OAP Wesley Sneijder just to get their sort of boosts to the younger guys. So I've not went crazy. Like, I tend to sign still sort of players considered to be Scottish wonder kids, including the likes of regens or new gens, whatever the word is. So I've not really put a lot of rules on it, but I certainly wouldn't go out and sign like Mbappe or anything like that. But it's just players that are sort of available to me through the transfer. I don't actively look, sort of thing, unless I see a player playing for like Partick Thistle who's absolutely fantastic. I'm like, oh, I wonder if he'll come to my team, sort of thing. I don't actively sort of look unless it comes over and scouts recommend them, saying this person would be a quality signing.
Yeah.
But then again, there's also that issue what you were saying, Bobby, about they could be a quality sign, then you sign them and they're absolutely terrible.
yeah, I've done it many a time, mate. You touch on an interesting point there, though. In the one, like, if you're doing your Cowden B save, which is awesome, and you're trying to bring through the young players, the most, or to me, the most exciting time in Football Manager is regen season. You know, you're talking February, March, April, when all these young lads come out. So this is Bobby G's tip 101 on how to do regen scouting. I'm just going to say, I am not great as this, but on my Burnley save, I've actually started to do it quite well, and there's a few different options that I use. One is when the regens come in, so you get kind of different dates throughout February, March, April. When you know the country comes in, go and have a look at the national under-18s or 21s or 19s or B squad and see what young players, 15, 16-year-olds have gone into there. The other ones is the big teams, who's got decent youth recruitment. You could even call Crewe Alexander. You know, they're historically a team that's got really good youth recruitment. Go and check on them, see who the hot prospects are. The other one is to just go to a country. So click on England, click on transfers, and then youth intake. And that'll actually give you a list of every single player that's come in through that youth intake in the country, and you can just go and scout them. And same if you want to do it, go wider. You could go to Brazil or Argentina, Colombia, wherever these wonder kids kind of pop up from. That's kind of how I've started to do it, and it's actually worked out pretty damn well. I start to actually find some kids that are half decent.
I do the exact same, Bobby. I do the exact same. I look at the Scotland, because I'm obviously a Scottish save. I always look at like the under-19s, and particularly the ones that maybe jump straight into the under-21s. Like, I look at clubs as well, so I'll have a wee look at my sort of rival clubs, if you will. Like, one of my main centre-backs is a regen. His name's David Clarkson. I signed him on a pre-contract from Dundee United. Like, I think he was on a youth contract. I signed him. He played a year at Dundee United. He came to me and is absolutely fantastic after playing a season in the Championship. He's totally up there as an SPL player, which I wasn't expecting. And he's keeping like some of like Scott McKenna out of the squad, for example, who's been one of my leading centre-backs for the last 3 seasons. So it's just... Yeah, I totally agree with you, mate. Like, look at the national teams, look at your rival clubs as well. I look at the stats, to be honest. I always look at, if I'm interested in what the scout's saying, I always look at the player profile before I do anything. Because as I say, as me and Bobby have mentioned, like, it looks like, oh, they're going to be like 4-star, 5-star potential or whatever. And they're looking at their stats and I'm thinking to myself, where the hell are they getting that from?
I'm with you on that. It makes it very, very hard, doesn't it? The one thing I do is if they come through and they say it's a 2-star rated player and his potential's 2.5-star, and I generally want 4-star rated players, I just automatically discard it. Not interested. If it's someone that's got high potential on the star ratings, then I'll go and dig deeper into the player. And likewise, current ability. If it's a decent current ability type player compared to the rest of the team, then I'll go and dig deeper into the stats. But I kind of do use the star system just to flush out a lot of the rubbish.
I think it depends on the scout as well. If the scout's, I really trust the scout and he's brought decent players in. Like, I signed a young striker, again, he's one of these regens. I think his name is David Ritchie. I got him from like Airdrie or something. He looks pretty decent, but again, from what I said in one of the previous episodes, I don't really buy into a lot of the potential stuff, because if I've got a player that didn't look that much, he was from one of the sort of the youth intakes or whatever, and he didn't look that much, then I loaned him out to a League 2 side. He is now pretty much a Championship player after being out on loan a season or two. It really depends if they're getting the right sort of game time, the right mentoring, the right training. It's, you know, you can really, that's what's good about FM. It's quite realistic in the sense that if a player, he might not look much, but if he is getting game time at like a decent enough club or down the leagues, he'll turn into a decent player. It's really sometimes it doesn't happen, but also in terms of, like, it happens with good players. There's, when people do experiments, like Gabriel Jesus, for example, who's meant to be like a really great wonder kid for Man City. I think they bought Casper Dolberg, because I done a video about like the top 5 wonder kids, and Man City bought Kasper Dolberg, and Gabriel Jesus wasn't even getting a game for Man City, so he never lived up to the potential that he would have. It's different factors, and that's what makes FM great, because it's quite realistic. Obviously, if a player gets injured as well, so yeah, it's all these things into account, I think. If I'm at a lower league team and I can afford it, I will have as many coaches as possible for different things. So the squad's basically getting all the right training. So I think in my County Beef save, I've got like something ridiculous, like 18 coaches, which is crazy. But I built that up from like a four-year period.
It's got to be done, mate. It's the only way to really drive the youth player to become half decent once you've found them, right? They need game time, they need tutoring, and they need decent coaching. It's a bit like a plant, right? A plant goes outside, it needs water and it needs sunshine. They just need coaching, feeding, watering, and some decent tutoring.
Yep, agreed. And that's why I brought on the likes of Wayne Rooney and Wesley Sneijder too, because they can really help tutor the younger guys, even though I wasn't really expecting them to be a big part of the save as such.
Yeah.
They can tutor the younger guys, and they can get experience from them as well. So,
do you try and play them in your first team as much as possible? As soon as possible, like give them game time, even if it's half an hour here and there when you're winning or in the cup competitions. Do you see that as like the critical factor to get these guys that you've scouted to be as good as what they potentially could be?
I tend to be a fan of loaning them out. Like, I've got a guy who's actually playing for one of my SPL rivals. His name's Larin Jara. He was actually one of my youth intakes. He's now playing for the Portugal under-21s, I think. He's probably could be used to my team, but he's not going to be first team, and I don't want to hinder his development as such. And I think I actually loaned him out to like maybe St Mirren or something, and who are in the same like league as us. So he might come back from that loan spell and become like one of my first team players next season. So, but I'm more of a fan of the loans rather than actually develop them, like at the club myself, really, unless they're like 17, 18.
Yeah.
See, I think we talked about this. We actually talked about this in the previous episode too, but it's like it's hard to really tell what's more beneficial. Them getting games at lower level or being in the under-20s or under-21s or whatever. From what I find, I think it's better if you loan them out to lower league teams because they're getting senior sort of football, if you will, rather than just at under-20 level or whatever. So.
What I do day one is sort out my scouts, get some decent scouts, and even if it means letting some people go, then I will analyse my team. And I do use the team report section. I try and work out what tactic I'm going to play. Don't play three up front, apparently it's a cheat. I never knew that was an actual cheat until someone commented on a video going, you've won the Champions League, it doesn't count because you had three players up front. I was like, what? When did that happen?
I'm not going. I think you know about this, Bobby, but I absolutely loved that comment. I thought it was hilarious, and he actually disliked the video because of that as well, which I thought was fantastic.
Oh, it was awesome. It made my day. It really made my day. But that's what I do. I analyse the team, work out what tactic I'm going to play. 7 strikers. That's probably cheating as well, and then work out where my gaps are. Everyone's got a different perception of how they want to have their squad play out. For me, I want a really, really strong front 11, and then the backups, I either like to bring in free signings or I like to bring in young players and give them game time. And that comes into how I develop the youth players going forward. And the scouts, I just work out what I need to do first. Sometimes I will look at who's available on a free and just, set the scouts off. Sometimes I'll look at who's interested in a loan signing and try and get some of them, because you can get decent Arsenal, Chelsea or Man U players free of charge in the Premier League. If you just go out, scout early, get the guys in. And the other ones is the transfer signings. That's generally how I work in the first season. And then as it develops through your save, I find my scouting changes, where I start to try and look for the young player, where I start to look, hey, we're in the January transfer window. I'm scouting the guys whose contracts are expiring in 6 months to see who I can bring into the team, because I'm a middle order Premier League team.
I mean, I'm the same with you, Bobby. In terms of the scouts, I always go after the sort of best that I can get. In terms of, I always try and get a spine. I've always got an idea of what I want to do with my team anyway, but I always have this spine, like who's always going to be my top centre back, who's always going to be my top midfielder, my top striker, sort of thing. That changes from time to time depending on who else is coming up For example, I think Zach Rudden and Jack Aitchison started as my top two, but Jamie Semple last season was fantastic. Jamie Baronis has always been sort of there in terms of midfielder. Aidan Wilson's kind of a wee bit better than Scott McKenna. So it's all sort of changes, but I build off a spine basically. And in terms of actual scouting, it's myself. I tend to scout more competitions, sort of lower league in Scotland, or perhaps even like the cup competitions. I tend not to do as many countries. I always like seeing sort of bargains that I can buy. For example, that David Ritchie guy from Airdrie, I got him because I scouted like the Scottish Cup or something, you know. So in terms of scouting itself, I always go with the competitions rather than actual countries, because you can just get it.
I really like the way you use the word spine, mate, because I do exactly the same where I try and build the spine of the team. Like, I might pay big bucks for a centre midfielder and go, oh cool, I've got one good centre midfielder, I need to go and shore up at the defence and bring in a top defender. You do the same when you look at a rugby team. You know, living down in New Zealand, rugby's almost life out here, and it's what the All Blacks do really well. Their spine of the team, the hooker, the number 8, the scrum half, fly off, and the fullback, you can set your watch by who's going to start, and as soon as you've got that, then it gives you the opportunity to bring in some freebies on the outside, or you can bring in some of the youth players and start to kind of move them through and get them to the next level.
Yeah, agreed. Well, moving into tip, I've got a fantastic one that I've only done this FM. It's quite unbelievable that I've done this recently, but I've got players. I think Ross McGrory was one of them, who's obviously like doing really well for Rangers in real life, but he's kind of been wasted at Rangers in FM, or certainly in my save. And I look at transfer listed players or free agents now, and I never used to do that. I really never used to do it, but I got guys recently that were transfer listed or wanted to leave the club, for example. I bought them for like minimal prices. Some of those really good deals, they come to the club and they're really high value at the moment, and I can sell them on for like at least double their price. And that's my one takeaway from scouting. Always look at the transfer listed players, because I never used to do that, or I tended not to do that. But now the values are. I mean, I just signed a guy recently who's worth like almost $1 million. I think he's worth like 750,000. Spoiler alert! I think this is before my next episode, actually. But I signed him because he was transfer listed, and I looked at him and I was thinking, this guy's really good. Why are they selling him for so cheap? And then there is a reason for it. I think I know the reason. But even if I was to sell him at the end of the season, I would get a really decent profit from him.
My tips around scouting, there's a couple, but one is day one as soon as you start. This is me looking at it as managing Burnley in my offline save, or managing San Marino, both kind of lower tier teams. Burnley, mid-tier Premier League team, even though we made the Europa League. European journey is out the window now, but relegation fodder, if anything, is to go in day one and look at loan signings. Look who's interested in a loan signing, sort it by value. That is going to give you the highest ranked players potentially that's available to come into your team. Do it day one, because you'll be able to pick up the free ones. No wages per month, no extra dollars per month to bring them in. Arsenal, Chelsea, Man U, those guys, bring them in day one. And the other one is January transfer window. As a Burnley fan, it's to go, whose contract is expiring? Who can I go in and bring in? I know is going to be coming in at the end of the year and picking them up on a free, because when you're Burnley, you've not got that much money, and you really have to go with the free transfers.
So we've kind of talked comprehensively about scouting, mate. I don't think there's too much to add. I think we obviously went into some of the stuff we've actually talked in sort of previous podcasts. I don't know if you've managed to listen to them, but yeah, obviously youth developments obviously comes into it a lot as well, because it's all a part of the same thing, is what I'm trying to say, really. Again, it's one of these things where I don't think it matters too much in terms of, like, it's everything sort of intertwined with one another. You know, scouting, training, tutorials, tutoring, game time. It's all like intertwined. I think it's just one aspect of it. Without adding these other things, it's really hard to say. Make recommendations based on one thing. You have to base it on everything, really, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, I've just found scouting is a learning process. Every save it seems to be slightly different. I do something slightly different based on what tier I'm playing in, which team I'm playing with. If I'm a top team, and I never manage a top team, but I've been at the top with Burnley before, bro. I've been to the mountain. It's very easy, especially if you want the best player in the world. You just sort it by value, and it will tell you exactly who the best player and most valuable player is in the world, and sort it by who's interested in a transfer. If you've got the big bucks, you can go and buy them, but I like to try and work my way down and bring in the youth. Youth is the future. I'm sure there's a song that's something similar.
I'm the exact same, Bobby. You know that I'm one for the sort of younger players. I like building my team. I like having this sort of same team, especially in terms of dynamics this season. I like having the same team throughout the seasons. I've not really done too much in terms of changing it. I've built these players up, and some of them have done way above what I would expect them to be. And again, it's good. There's some players that have maybe not made the grade, but again, it all sort of comes into game time. I can't say the word. Tutor in all these different things. You know?
You touch on one thing there, and it's kind of football manager nostalgia, right? You create an affinity towards these players and a relationship, and you don't want to sell them. You want to keep them on. And I'll give you an example. On my San Marino save, Season 2, Pietro. Now, I can't pronounce his second name, so I've always just called him Pietro. Scored 47 goals, got us promoted from Serie D. Serie C, scored 30 goals, got promoted. Serie B, scored 30 goals, got promoted. And now he's a Serie D or C standard player. And I bought him in as a free transfer from there, or paid for him as a transfer because I had him on loan all those seasons. And he's hardly played a game for me in Serie A, but I still want the guy in my squad just because I can't bear to part with him. He's a part of my life.
It's true. That's what makes FM great. It makes a great game because you do have an affinity to your players, an affinity to your team. Like, I saw Jack Aitchison in real life and Mark Hill in a pre-season friendly against Celtic Hearts, and obviously I managed them and Daniel Church as well, actually, and I managed them in FM. And even though I'm a Rangers fan, I saw them and I was like, "Hey, come on, Jack, come on, you're doing really well, son." In that, it's really strange. It's reality. It's like I don't know. It's a weird thing to see them in real life, and you're shouting at them like, "Come on, I want you to do better than that."
Do you shout generic touchline instructions like encourage or demand more, praise?
You know, I was there with the missus, and she was actually looking at me, and I'm like, "Oh, there's Jack Aitchison. Oh, guy, he's really good in FM." And she's looking at me like, "You're an absolute sad bastard," or whatever.
That's the sort of thing my missus would say. She hates Football Manager, and Football Manager's got a 50% sale off some of their merch and old mugs and stuff like that. And this morning, I sat on the loo on my mobile phone, as you do, and I saw 50% off a mug. You know what? I'm going to get that sent out. And I said to the wife, I said, "I've just bought a new mug." She goes, "Have you not got enough?" I goes, "No, I've just bought a Football Manager mug." And she goes, "Well, it's going straight in the bin."
That's funny.
She hates it. Sometimes, honestly, mate, I walk into the kitchen and I could walk in and give the generic Football Manager half-time speech and go, "I expect more of you in this second half, or I have faith in you in this second half to do better." And she just won't get it. She just hates it. You just press spacebar for a living on Football Manager. That's all you do.
It's one of those things. I mean, I've had previous girlfriends, and I've been. It makes me sound a bit like, I don't know. I've had a fair few girlfriends in my time in my life, and I don't think any of them have really got it. There's times where I've been literally like at their house, staying over. "Oh, Chris, let's watch a film." All right, they put a film on, and there's me sitting on my laptop playing FM.
You know what? I do exactly the same. It's like I see FM as an enabler to go and do something else at the same time. It's like if TV's on, I'll get Football Manager out. Reading a book, I'll press spacebar in the background in between pages. Just keep the game going. And the other thing, who the hell is Chris? I've never heard of Chris.
Yeah.
I know you, Chris.
What's that?
I know you, Chris. I'm taking the mic. I only know you as Rampant, mate.
Alright, oh yeah. Alright, did I use my name there? I never even realised.
Yeah, you did. You went into boyfriend mode and you was like, "Oh, Chris, why are you on Football Manager all the time, Chris?"
See, that's actually a lie, to be honest, Bobby, because they wouldn't even say Chris. They would use my full name. They'd be like, Christopher, what are you doing? Or, the Christopher treatment,
Now, I've never dated a Scottish girl, and this is me assuming that you've had Scottish girlfriends in the past. How, on a scale of 1 to 10, how straightforward are they in terms of get off Football Manager? Because the Scottish accent has got a certain aggressiveness to it when it wants to.
Yeah, it's hard to really say. If you're used to it, it's kind of like, I don't know. I've certainly not. I've been with some women that let's put it, they're not timid as such. Let's put it that way. They will. They will tell you to get off things. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. My wife's a bit easygoing. Kiwis have always got this kind of like, oh, she'll be alright, bro. Just kind of easy, laid back lifestyle. And my wife's kind of like that, but when you get her on the wrong side of the day, she's like, are you going to put that Football Manager down and spend some time with me? I was like, we could spend time together, all three of us, the third part of the relationship.
I've actually tried to get one of my girlfriends involved with FM. I literally, as I said, I went to her house, I can't remember, I took my laptop, playing FM, and I was showing her FM, and again, it was one of those things where she wasn't really interested, to be honest. And I'm just like, look, but this is amazing. Look at me, I'm thrashing everyone and blah blah blah.
I do when I'm doing well on the San Marino. In fact, we've got previous me and yourself in terms of you call me Bottle G from one of the bottle jobs in the Journeyman save that I did on the YouTube channel, and
Bottle Booby.
There's Bottle G. There's another one coming up, mate. There's the biggest bottle job of all time. Season 8, Episode 8, it's coming out in about a week's time, is the ultimate bottle job, putting spoilers out there. But I told the wife about it.
I can't wait to see it.
I was almost in tears, mate. Almost in tears. And there's no sympathy. She said you can find sympathy between shit and syphilis in the dictionary.
That is cutthroat. That is very severe.
It digs deep, man. It digs deep.
Anyway, I think we've sidetracked enough. We need to get you away, mate. It's early in the morning and whatnot. Right, so unfortunately, no quiz because Cookie was not available tonight, unfortunately. So the creator of the week is TheMadScientist. His great databases, his classic databases are fantastic. I've not actually had the pleasure of playing them yet, so I'm hoping that he actually does a lot of them, and I'm sure he'll do some for FM19. He streams, he does YouTube, he's just overall a good creator, fantastic guy. I've actually seen him about in some streams and whatnot as well, so yeah, as a person that started off as a sort of FM editor guide, I know how hard it is to edit, I know how hard it is to try and create stuff. He does a fantastic job with his databases. Definitely check them out. They will be in the description, or we'll definitely shout him out on Twitter as well. Do you know about the Mad Scientist? He's a good guy.
Yeah, I have. I've actually downloaded a couple of his databases and had a really, really good time on them. Never done anything online with them, just playing offline. They're just really, really well done, and the amount of time it must take him to go in to actually get them live is quite incredible.
Yeah, I would agree 100%. I mean, I've literally, in previous FMs, before I'd obviously done content, I would make my own sort of leagues and stuff, and that's without adding, players and this, that, and the next thing. The time and effort he puts in that is just fantastic, and he totally deserves Creator of the Week for this week.
Yeah, he does. Good guy, all-round good guy. If you guys haven't seen him, make sure you go check out and have a look at his database. They are legendary.
So it's pretty much, even though it's been a bit of a weird one, mate, totally professional at Winging It FM over here. It's time for the plugs. I'll let you go first since you are the guest.
Yeah, thank you very much, mate. Follow me on YouTube, guys. There's the San Marino Challenge, which is rocking and rolling. We're about 60 episodes in. It's going really good. If you like your cricket content as well, you can check me out there. So the YouTube channel is BobbyGGaming. There's also a YouTube/podcast around cricket, which I do with my friend, called Leading Edge Cricket Podcast. And you can follow me on Twitter as well, where I kind of talk about a bit of Burnley, a bit of Rochdale, a bit of American football, a bit of wrestling, a bit of all sorts, and it's just BobbyGGaming NZ.
Yep, and just to add a note to that, Bobby was saying that we have previous. Bobby has been a fantastic supporter of Ming on YouTube. His content's fantastic. I have enjoyed his San Marino save. You're just a fantastic creator, mate. I'm a bit more quiet watching your content now. I don't really tend to comment too much because I'm sort of going through them now. As I say, I've not had much time, but like I've always enjoyed your content. You're a funny guy. It's the first time we've got to manage to speak to each other in person, which is fantastic, and I really do appreciate your support on my channel also. It's really been really great speaking to you, mate. I'm glad we had you on.
Oh, absolute pleasure, mate. Good to be on, and thanks for your support on the channel. It's always much appreciated. The live streams were pretty legendary. The best thing about yourself, mate, is you don't like cricket, you're Scottish, and you still commented and watched some of the cricket videos on there and commented about the umpires being a gangster. So, just legendary.
It's the hats and gang signs what pulled me in. I'm all for
that. Legend. Thank you so much for having me, mate. It's been a blast.
Yep. So, you can find me at RampantFM. I'm on YouTube and Twitter. Yeah, it's been another great episode. Obviously, it was a privilege having Bobby G on, and we'll see you in the next one.
Thank you for listening to this episode of our podcast. You can find the podcast on Twitter at WingingItFMPod. The podcast is also on SoundCloud, iTunes and YouTube. Please follow, subscribe and leave any feedback for us in the comments. Take care and see you next time.